Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers Inspiration. I'm your host, Harriet Cole. Honored to be with you today. I really mean that when I say it too. It makes me feel happy to know that when I get up on a Monday morning, for all of you who are connecting in the moment, that I start my day with you, that I start my day with like-minded people who want to tap into what inspires us in order to move through the day and the week and through our lives with a little bit of extra support, with a centering that reminds us that indeed the power to be our best lies within, but also we need other people in order to reinforce that. And I feel good knowing that I'm going to address you and think about you and know that there's a group of people with whom I can engage every week who share this same uh, interest and same values. So thank you very much for being here. I have been thinking about work because that is what most of us spend our time doing. And just pondering, you know, what does it mean to work the many hours, weeks, days, weeks, months, years that most of us have to do in order to take care of ourselves and our families. And thinking about work-life balance, it's something a lot of people talk about. And during the pandemic, there was a shift. Many of you may remember this when most of us went home and we were home, we were working all the time. In fact, many people worked more hours when they were working from home. If you were lucky enough to have a job, have a source of income, I remember just we worked so much we often didn't stand up from our computers for an entire day. Not healthy, but it was something that many of us did. But then there was this discussion of life work balance. What if we put life first? What if we put ourselves, our families, our communities first? And work is important, but it is not the driving force. And so this push and pull about the importance of work and how we balance our schedules is not new. It's been going on forever. You know, what we do with our time, how we earn a living, the choices that we make, these are questions that most of us ponder. Our children, like I have a daughter in college, and as she's looking to make her way into the professional world, she's already working, but into the professional world, the choices that she's going to make so that she can pick what she really wants to do. We all have these questions. How am I spending my time? What am I doing in order to take care of myself and my family so that I can earn a living? And all of that is super important. And there's also what happens at work. Now, how do you think of your job, whatever it is? How do you think of all these hours that you spend because you want to take care of yourself and fulfill something within you of your creativity, of your being? It's a lot. And right now it feels like a whole lot. I have talked to so many people about their lives and the stressors in their lives and the amount of time that they spend devoted to whatever it is that they do to earn a living. There's a whole bunch of stress going on right now. I'm sure I don't have to tell you, you're probably feeling it. So how do you make sense of all of it? And how can you find peace with something that is just part of existence? You know, most of us have to work in order to exist and take care of ourselves. And how do you deal with conflict in a work environment? How do you navigate? So many thoughts have come to mind, and as I was sitting with this over the past couple of days, both just sitting with it in my life and world, but also thinking about you and coming to be with you, a wonderful memory came to me of my grandmother, Carrie Freeland. I talk about her not as much as my mom, but it's her mother, for whom I named my daughter. But my grandmother worked as basically a maid, a housekeeper for all of her life. We required her to stop working when she was 93 years old. So just context, she lived to be 101. And so I was, I guess, in junior high school, now called middle school, when this was at the time when Black Power was taking effect in America. There's a groundswell around Black Power and really stepping into, for Black people, to step into an understanding of our value because there'd been so much diminishment over centuries. And I was learning about this, and my grandmother worked for rich white families in Baltimore. And I had it in my mind that she shouldn't have to do that. My family should be able to take care of her, and she should not have to work for these rich white people. And I had my backup about it. You know how young people can, and very self-righteous. And I was quarreling with her, that would be her word, about this. And she stopped me. Now, context, my grandmother was 4'9". I'm 5'9". I was 5'8" or 9" then. So I'm towering over her. And she was a powerful little woman. And she said, "Wait a minute, young lady, sit down. I need to talk to you." And she said, "Let me tell you something. You don't have to worry about me. I love my work and I love the people that I work for. And so don't worry about me. And when it comes time for you to work, your responsibility is to love what you do and love who you work with. And that's it." I never forgot that because it pierced through everything. It wasn't to say that racism didn't exist. It wasn't to say that in the hierarchy in her job, maybe there were things that she did or didn't like. It wasn't to say any of that. But fundamentally, she said, whatever you do, you need to love what you do. And whoever you're with, you need to love them too. And that was so positive and soul stirring that I remembered. I remember it to this day. And I've had plenty of projects that I've worked on, a few jobs where I had officially working for someone. But when you own your own business, you have a million bosses, whoever your clients are. And sometimes it is a great experience and sometimes it's not. Sometimes people treat you well, sometimes they treat you poorly. As a boss, for me, having had a business for a long time and before I did, running different departments, sometimes you do it well, you treat people well, and sometimes you don't treat them as well as you should or they deserve or whatever it might be. We're human, so it doesn't always work as well as you want it to. But if the wisdom is love what you do and love the people you work for and with, what a beautiful lens to look through as you live your life. Donna Burnett says, wisdom. Yes, my grandmother had some wisdom, honey, and I'm holding on to it and sharing it because it pierces through everything. Think about it. And I want each of you to take this moment and really think about what you do. So first of all, whatever you're doing, do you love what you do? That's a big question because for many of us, hey, I got a job. I'm doing this job because I have to earn money. I wouldn't choose this if I didn't have money. And people get their backs up and have things to think about and things to say. I only do this because, with a frown and a scowl. Do you love what you do? Whatever it is, are you grateful for what you do? Do you find any kind of joy in what you do? Can you find any kind of joy in what you do? Can you access that? And what about the people you work with? You work for, who work for you? This is not a term that people use when talking about work, by the way, love. It is something you keep in your back pocket. You hide it away. It's not a business term. But do you love the people that you work with? Do you love the people you work for? Can you find love and compassion and kindness in your being for those people? And now think about the people who really set you off, who make you angry, who you feel do not treat you well, because we've all had that. It may not be at this moment, but think about in your working life, who are those people who really, it's been difficult? Can you find love for them? Can you find compassion for them, forgiveness for them? These are big questions and big thoughts. And when I think about my grandmother, she was born in 1889, not that long after the end of slavery. She had to fight all kinds of indignities, and she did so with strength and grace. And she never talked about people. Think about that. She always looked through a lens of love. And I just find that incredibly difficult to do, by the way, but so invigorating. Imagine we have the power to do this. And as I have thought about my career and the people who have crossed my path over all of these years that I've been working, both for other people and for my own company, with many people coming through the doors of my company over the years, I do believe that I have practiced to the best of my ability my grandmother's wisdom. It was just yesterday, texting with someone who worked with me officially for about 10 years and remains adjunct to my company, Daryl. And he came to work with me when I was speaking on a panel for the National Action Network, Reverend Al Sharpton, many moons ago. And he was interning at this event and came to intern with me and then stayed. And we have stayed close like family for all of these years. You know, my mother recently passed away. His mother passed away while he was working with me. And we were working on a project. I was in Atlanta, I think, doing something, and we were talking on the phone. And after we finished our business, he said, "Okay, Miss Cole, I have something to tell you." I said, "Okay." And it was that his mother had passed. He did all of the work that had to be done with grace, with clarity, and then told me that his mother had passed. Imagine. He had the presence of mind to do what we needed to be done and then to share this incredibly tender moment. And we've been in this dance of taking care of each other on lots of different levels for all this time. And so we were communicating yesterday via text, and he had invited me to attend something that I cannot attend. And I'm like, I'm going to come at some point. And the communication was so sweet. And at the end, he said, "You know, this is love." And it was so sweet and simple and beautiful. And it's okay to love the people that you work for and with. And it's okay, at least sometimes, to say so. I can't say to you that in every work environment it's okay to do that, but I can tell you that in my world it's okay to do it. And even if you don't say it, you can feel it. Like supporting me in this moment are the two people who are my right-hand people, Fallon and Natalie. And there's no question at all that there's love between us. When my mother passed away, they went overtime, every time, everything to make sure that we celebrated her life in the best possible way. And in tender moments like that, you really do see and feel what love is. But every day, that's how we treat each other. Isn't that how you want to be treated? I mean, it's making me well up right now thinking about it. Because when you work in an environment where people support you, respect you, love you, and you do the same, it makes the experience so much sweeter. I mean, it's really an amazing, um, it's an amazing experience, and it gives you energy, a lot of energy, when you know that you're not just working, when you know that you are in this covenant of support with other people. Donna made a note saying, talking about Daryl, he loved his work and truly showed his appreciation for you. Yes, he did. And I learned from my grandmother and from my parents, you always have to do your work at the highest level, at the absolute highest level, and make space for grace to be there to support. Another memory that's so strong for me, I wrote a book, some of you may be aware of it, called How to Be. It's a book about how to live your life, understanding from where you come and drawing upon your inner strength and knowledge of what's expected in order to live well, how to be your best. And I was on tour for this book. It was a big book. At the time that my father was very ill and ultimately passed away, my mother said to me, "Go do your book tour. Your father would want you to do this, and I'll call you when it's time to come home." So a couple of things. One, she called and I came home, and it was actually, this was on February 13th, 1999, came to see him and in the hospital. And I said, "Daddy, tomorrow is Valentine's Day." And I saw this cringe on his face. And it turns out, I'm sure he waited for me to see him before he passed, and he passed on Valentine's Day. Uh, and then it was, the arrangements were being made, and my mother said, "Go on, continue your book tour. And when it's time for the funeral, you'll come home." Well, we had planned a huge event in New York City. I mean, huge, like 600 people. And it turned out to be on the day that was selected to be the wake, the day before the funeral. And my mother said, "Do not cancel. Your father wouldn't want you to do that. Have your event, do your job, do your work, and then come for the funeral in the morning." And what happened? All these 600 or so people came, and 3 of my mother's friends came to be with me while everybody else was with my family at my father's wake. So that this covenant of love was there. The circle of love was there. And I was strong, and I was able to do what my work was, talk about the book, and honor my father who had just transitioned. We find strength when we feel love. We find Herculean strength, like strength that you don't even know you have, when you feel supported. When you feel loved, you can do anything. When you feel loved, in the worst of circumstances, you can find an inner resolve. You can see more clearly. You can find solutions to problems that you thought were insurmountable. When you experience love, everything is better. Even the worst possible thing that could be happening is better if you experience love. And since most of our days, most of what we do is to work, that's why we have to find love in our work. It doesn't matter how bad some people behave. Yes, you call them on it or figure out how to address those things, but still find love. Chandra says, "Love is powerful," and your grandma knew this. She sure did. So I already gave you my grandmother's quote, which I knew I wanted to talk about her, but I didn't access her quote, which is why hers isn't the quote on today's message. But let's look at the quote that I did find to share with you, because it is the message that we've been talking about. So the quote says, Valen, you want to put the quote up for me? It's all about work and love. And it says, "Our work," friends, career, "is the excuse by which we get to love people." We are put in exactly the place we need to be to love the people we are around. And this is from Panache Desai. Okay, listen to this again. Our work, our career, is the excuse by which we get to love people. Think about that. We are put in exactly the place we need to be to love the people we are around. I just love the depth of this, because it suggests that nothing is happenstance. We are where we're supposed to be, and wherever that is, we're supposed to experience and give love. Essentially is what it's saying. But our work, our career, is the excuse by which we get to love people. We are put in exactly the place we need to be to love the people we are around. Thank you, Panache Desai. I want to share with you, and I've been practicing meditation for more than 30 years. I talk about this a lot. And I've been in leadership in this international community for a long, long time. And one of the things that we learn, you can take that down, Fallon. One of the things that we learn in my meditation practice life is to practice love. Our job in life is to connect with other people and support other people as we stay connected to the inner self, to grace within us, to that God connection within us. And so there's a term for living the spiritual life. It's called sadhana. And if you understand that the spiritual path that you're on, it's not I'm going to get there eventually. When I get there, this is going to happen. Although there is the understanding that supreme consciousness is possible for all of us, the merging with the divine. But that's kind of potentially for most of us off in the distance. But in the here and now, how do you treat people on your path, on your spiritual journey? How do you live? How do you treat people? And sometimes I can say from my experience, when I've been working on a project with people in my spiritual community, we're trying to get things done fast, 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 and maybe somebody is not working at the same pace as I am, or however it's working in a group. So you may have frustration, you may have doubts, are the right people in this role, all the questions that come when things aren't going the way that you want them to go. And at a certain point, for me anyhow, when I'm continuing to connect within, when I'm continuing to practice meditation and recenter myself as I move through the day, the weeks, the months, whatever it might be, invariably a moment will come when I'll go, I'm learning a lesson here. We are learning a lesson here about how to be with each other, about how to practice patience, about how to forgive people for their shortcomings, about how to have somebody's back, about how to let people support us, about how to be in communion with each other. It's not easy, especially when tensions are high. It's not easy when resources are limited. It's not easy when fears are growing like fire. And right now, a lot of us have fear. A lot of us very tangibly do not know, how am I going to take care of what's in front of me? How am I going to deal with what's next? How am I going to have enough of whatever it is that I need in order to take care of myself and my family? Because it doesn't look like it's here. If I asked y'all to raise your hand and say, are you in that boat? I'm going to bet many people would. I'm not asking you to. You can tell yourself. But we are in constricting times in our world, in our culture, in our country. There's a lot of constriction. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty. And often when those things happen, people start pointing fingers at each other and looking for faults and looking for blame and looking for ways to just make it easier on ourselves. And somehow people think, well, if I point my finger at you, it's your fault, then somehow it makes it easier for me to live my life. That doesn't work. I hope you know deep down inside it doesn't work. And it makes it hard to see clearly what is the path ahead. And so my experience is to step back, to take a look. I learned this from a psychologist many years ago. For the most part, people do their best, even if their best is far less than what is needed, far less than what the moment calls for. There is this belief about humanity that people do their best in the moment. And that best may be limited by whatever's going on in their world, whatever their preparedness is for the moment, whatever it is. But it doesn't mean that they aren't doing their best. So if you take the attitude, if you adopt the attitude that this thing is happening, it's not happening well enough, it's making me crazy, I can't believe, all those things. But I think the person is doing their best. So I give them a pass for that. Or even better, but they dropped the ball here. Let me pick up the ball. Let me help in this moment when help is needed, as opposed to point fingers. How could you mess up again? One of the things that happened for me I feel like I'm better than I was, but it's only been a few weeks since my mother passed. But in those first few weeks, time didn't make sense to me. I was completely not doing what needed to be done in a timely manner. And that's not like me. And I realized it, and I told my team, oops, I need you to pull my coattails on this, because my brain is in a bit of a fog. And they did. Once we figured out what's going on, then and I'm sure it's not over, because it's still tender times. But okay, I'm going through tender times. So are my people. So are you. These are tender times that we're living in. And that means we have to support each other and take a breath and look, how can we help each other? What can we do to help each other? The people we work with, the people we spend time with, how can we help each other? How can we calm down, take a deep breath, remember to gently access our own power, and look at others with love? When I promise you, if you can look at the people who surround you, the people you work with, the people in your family, the people in your neighborhood, in your community, if you can take a breath and look at them through a lens of love, your life is going to be sweeter. I promise. And it doesn't make you a pushover. And we talk about this. My team and I talk about this. Is sometimes, oh, you're being so nice. You're being so nice. Other people take advantage. That's not what I mean. You can be strong with love. And some of us have to learn how to exercise that muscle a little bit better so that we aren't pushovers. I've been in that position. Sometimes I'm still in that position where maybe I'm being too nice. I'm not talking about being too nice. I'm talking about looking at people with love. You can be strong and loving at the same time. It's possible. It's possible. I hope you hear that. You can be strong and loving at the same time. You can create boundaries in a loving way. You can say goodbye to relationships in a loving way. You can move on. I've moved on from projects in my business because we couldn't come to a respectful, loving way to work together. But something inside of me helped me to not burn. I remember one time in particular, and I was so angry with the way that this particular client was handling things. I easily could have blown up, cursed her out, whatever, and I didn't. I stayed calm, I stayed grounded, and I handled it with grace. And therefore, this is like 15 years ago. When I see this person, it's still a respectful, positive relationship. Treat people with love. See through the lens of love. Honor each other with love. Be compassionate. Forgive people for what they can't do. Find a way back to calm when you are hot, when you're angry, when you're hurt. Love yourself back to a positive, if tender place. It is so not easy to do. I'm saying this, and I tell you, this is a big one. And you don't have to say it. If you work in a place where you tell somebody I love you, they're like, what? That's not the language of our business. You don't have to say it. You just have to do it. You have to live it. There are so many people in my world right now who are part of my chosen family because I worked with them. I met my husband through work. Some of my closest friends I met through work because we become family with the people that we spend time with. And usually those are the people we work with because we have to work. Do you see how the circle comes back around? And so if most of your time you are spending with people with whom you work, love them. Love yourself, love them. Like my grandmother said, love the work that you do and the people you work with, and your life will be sweeter. I hope you hear this. I hope today, as you go through your day, you follow this, you live this. It works, I promise you. It helps to wash away stereotypes, it helps to wash away grudges, uh, all kinds of judgments. It helps to wash away your own diminished feelings about yourself if you have those. Love yourself. Love the people you work for and with. Just live love. Your life will be sweeter. Thank you for joining me today. It means a lot to have you here. I hope that this message will resonate with you, will be like a big hug for you as you go through this day and this week. Until next time, have a great day and make it count. Namaste.